Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari are facing an FIA fine at the 2026 Belgian Grand Prix, after the team was caught breaching tire return regulations following FP1 at Spa-Francorchamps. According to a note from FIA technical delegate Joe Bauer, Ferrari electronically returned 2 sets of dry-weather tires for Charles Leclerc and Hamilton in line with Articles B6.4.1 and B6.3.8, but the physical tires themselves were never handed back to Pirelli before FP2 began. That put the team in breach of Article B6.4.2 of the sporting regulations. A Ferrari representative was summoned to the stewards, and team principal Fred Vasseur admitted the team was late returning the tires, saying he expected only a fine for the mistake. The stewards confirmed a penalty of €5,000 for each car, a total of €10,000, with no sporting consequence attached. Hamilton and Leclerc keep their grid positions for Sunday's race. Both drivers had looked strong on Friday. Hamilton and Leclerc finished second and third in FP1, behind only Max Verstappen. In FP2, Hamilton held on to fourth place, just 0.747 seconds off the pace-setting Mercedes of Kimi Antonelli. Leclerc had a rougher session, sliding down to 11th. Vasseur said the team was late returning the tires and that he only expected the outcome to be a fine. Williams committed a similar tire return error back in 2022 at the Hungarian Grand Prix, and it was treated the same way then too, as a logistical lapse rather than a competitive violation. Spa-Francorchamps is the longest lap on the calendar, featuring elevation changes and the Eau Rouge-Radelen complex. Ferrari has won 2 of the last 3 races heading into this weekend. The biggest story of the weekend continued to hang over the paddock without resolution. Max Verstappen was asked directly, ahead of the Belgian Grand Prix, what his future at Red Bull actually means to him. He did not confirm he is staying, and he did not confirm he is leaving. When pushed on what loyalty between himself and his team means to him, Verstappen replied that it is just a relationship that you build over all the years and things that the team does for you, the things that you do for the team. On the Thursday before the weekend, he had already told media he had nothing new to add on the subject. Verstappen's current Red Bull contract runs until the end of 2028, but multiple reports indicate it contains a performance-related exit clause, giving him a route out if results fall away. Nothing about that clause has been officially confirmed by Verstappen or by Red Bull, and no specific date for when it might become active has been verified. Verstappen's British Grand Prix weekend ended early with a technical failure, the second consecutive race weekend where a mechanical issue cut his day short, after a similar problem in Austria. He currently sits 7th in the drivers' standings. It is worth being precise about what has and has not been confirmed here. No contract has been terminated. No exit clause has been publicly activated. No official statement from either team has confirmed a move. What exists, on the record, is a driver who will not rule anything out, a management team that has held talks with a rival, and a results pattern that gives those talks weight they would not otherwise have. Reports say Verstappen's management has held exploratory talks with the Woking-based team, McLaren. Jos Verstappen and Max's manager were reportedly spotted at McLaren's hospitality unit during the Belgian Grand Prix weekend. The driver most commonly linked to making way in that scenario is Oscar Piastri, partly because his manager, Mark Webber, has long-standing ties to Red Bull. Both Red Bull and McLaren have played down the rumors publicly. Neither Norris nor Piastri has been able to sustain front-running pace across every session in recent weekends, and McLaren is not expected to bring a major upgrade package until Zandvoort. Piastri himself said ahead of the weekend that he expects McLaren to be the 3rd or 4th quickest car in Belgium. In FP1 at Spa, Verstappen was fastest on the timesheet, 0.145 seconds clear of Hamilton, with Leclerc a further 0.2 back in 3rd. Red Bull has not won a race yet in 2026, but that pace suggests the car is not the disaster some of the speculation implies. Grid penalties were not the only sanction handed out on Friday. Carlos Sainz was also summoned to the stewards after FP1 for crossing the white line at pit entry before cutting across the painted runoff area to rejoin the circuit. Onboard footage showed Sainz had been told to enter the pits, then received a very late instruction over team radio to stay out instead and recharge the car's battery. The stewards accepted the explanation and issued a reprimand, Sainz's first of the 2026 season. Under the regulations, a driver only faces an automatic 10-place grid penalty after a 5th reprimand in a season. Williams finished FP1 in 20th place, more than a second and a half off the pace, and sits 8th in the constructors' standings. Sainz arrives at Spa still carrying the memory of the British Grand Prix, where he became the first driver in 2026 to receive what was described as a penalty lap, an unusual sanction applied after he incorrectly unlapped himself during a safety car period at Silverstone. The stewards later found it was an honest error caused by the specific geometry of that circuit's pit entry. He remains Williams' top point scorer this season, having brought in 6 of the team's 11 points, and currently sits 15th in the Drivers' Championship. Lance Stroll is at the center of the third major storyline from Friday at Spa. The FIA confirmed that Stroll will start 10 places lower than he qualifies for Sunday's race, after Aston Martin fitted his car with the 4th MGUK of the season, one more than the 3 units permitted under the regulations. Joe Bauer stated that the motor generator unit used by Stroll did not conform with Article B 8.2.2F of the 2026 Formula One sporting regulations. Exceeding the seasonal component allocation triggers an automatic grid penalty, with 5 places added for every additional unit beyond the limit. Lando Norris, the reigning world champion, also received a 10-place grid penalty after McLaren introduced a 4th power electronics unit on his car. McLaren made the change even though the previous unit had performed without issues since Miami, switching to an updated Mercedes specification with reliability improvements, 2 rounds after that specification had already debuted in the works Mercedes cars. Isaac Hadjar faces the harshest punishment of the 3, after Red Bull fitted his car with a 5th internal combustion engine, turbocharger, and exhaust system this season, pushing his combined penalty past 15 grid places. Hadjar said another top 6 finish would be hard to achieve from where he is starting, and that the weekend's focus would shift toward race pace rather than qualifying position. Fresh telemetry from Friday's practice sessions exposed a significant straight-line speed deficit for the Aston Martin at Spa, with Stroll recorded reaching speeds slower than Formula 2, Formula 3, and even GT3 cars through one section of the track. According to that telemetry, Stroll's fastest lap showed the car losing around 58 km/h after entering a phase described as superclipping on the Kemmel Straight. By the time he reached the Les Combes braking zone on that same lap, his top speed had dropped to 249.7 km/h. Stroll's best qualifying result so far this season is 18th, at the Miami Grand Prix, and Aston Martin has yet to get a car out of Q1 all year. Kimi Antonelli leads the drivers' standings, with Mercedes teammate George Russell now just 25 points behind him following a podium at the British Grand Prix, his first at his home race. Antonelli was again the standout in FP2 at Spa, setting a time roughly 8/10 clear of the rest of the field. Leclerc took victory at Silverstone for the first time after the British Grand Prix finished under the safety car, and Hamilton finished 3rd in that same race. Piastri currently leads Norris in the standings, and any scenario involving Verstappen arriving at McLaren for 2027 would require the team to navigate a driver swap with Red Bull alongside the internal dynamics of replacing a driver currently ahead in his